Generally, under 9-201A, a secured party will have priority over a lien creditor unless an exception applies. Here, Big Bank, the secured party, should have priority over Katerina Kashka, the judgment holder and lien creditor, and be able to collect both of their loans, including the loan made on March 6, 2018, before Kashka should be able to collect from the debtor. Big Bank attached and perfected their security agreement in BrewPub's collateral, the pub's equipment, before Kashka sought to enforce her judgment by levying the same collateral. On December 20th, 2013, Big Bank filed a financing statement in the correct jurisdiction and filing office, listing Punk BrewPub as the correct debtor, listed the collateral as all assets, and the filing was authorized by BrewPub's owner, Billy Zane. It included an after-acquired property and future advance clauses. On January 1st, 2014, Big Bank gave their first loan to Billy Zane, which finally satisfied all of the elements for attachment. Before they dispersed the loan, Big Bank had an authorized security agreement from Billy Zane, and presumably Billy Zane had rights in the BrewPub equipment. Thus, when Big Bank gave Billy Zane the loan on January 1st, 2014, the security interest had attached onto the collateral, and at the same time, Big Bank had also perfected their security interest by filing first and then attaching. Kashka started her lawsuit against Billy Zane in 2013, and Lewis, counsel for Big Bank, was informed of the lawsuit. Then, on January 29, 2018, a judgment was handed down that allowed Kashka to levy the equipment held by Zane. Big Bank knew about this judgment and still advanced another loan to Zane about a month after the judgment was handed down. Under 9-317A, a lien creditor has priority over a secured party if the lien creditor's claim or levy arises before the secured party can perfect their interest. Here, Kashka obtained a judgment years after Big Bank perfected their security interest in the collateral. So, at the very least, Big Bank's first loan undeniably had priority over Kashka's levy. The future advance made by Big Bank is a little bit more tricky. Under 9-323B, a secured party who makes a future advance has a subordinate interest to the lien creditor if the secured party makes the loan 45 days after the collateral has been levied by the lien creditor, with knowledge that the judgment exists. Here, Big Bank knew about the judgment, but made their advance before 45 days were up. Because they had a future advance clause and the new loan used the same equipment as collateral, the future advance was automatically perfected when it was made. Thus, Big Bank's loans will and should have a higher priority interest over Kashka's judicial lien. Big Bank should be able to collect the $550,000 from the disposition of the equipment, and Kashka will be left with $200,000 and a $600,000 deficit judgment. Presumably, Big Bank gave a future advance, hoping to be paid back by Zane, and not just to screw over Kashka. No one knew that Zane would declare bankruptcy shortly thereafter, and Big Bank should not be penalized for Zane's mismanagement of his business. Big Bank should be entitled to what they are owed from Zane, and Kashka should be entitled to what she had been declared that she is owed. The only party really at fault here is Billy Zane. Perhaps one way to make the situation more fair would be for Big Bank to find other valuable assets to dispose of, along with some of the equipment to recoup the loan and allow Kashka to take more money out of the equipment. Big Bank's financing statement was very general, and their security agreement covered all assets, or all goods, inventory, equipment, all that stuff. So perhaps they could take more money out of other assets, leaving more money for Kashka to take out of the equipment. This would, at the very least, maybe reduce Kashka's deficit. To summarize, Big Bank attached and perfected their security interest in BrewPub's equipment long before a judgment was handed down to Kashka. Big Bank then made a future advance to Zane within the 45-day time period required by 9 5-323B to keep their priority ahead of a lien creditor. Although Big Bank had knowledge of the lien, that should not move them down the priority list. Big Bank's interest should have priority over Koshka's judicial lien.